wabarakatuh. This is group 4, contains Vina Kurnia Dewi, which is me, and then Rida Rahmata Injia, Risna Setia Hidayana, Siti Nursolihah, and Vanessa Dia Artnya Nanisari. And here we're gonna explain the comparison and contrast material. First, recognizing compare and contrast. Second, identifying comparison and contrast signals. And the last, identifying comparison and contrast of parts, space, and sequence. First, recognizing compare and contrast. For the purpose of comparing and contrasting, the author always describes two or more subjects, such as people, situation, or some ideas. It is due to show the similarities and differences between both of them in specific way. We can use some practice to understand the compare and contrast paragraph. The practice can be in the form of comparison between two paragraphs and determine which paragraphs are compare and contrast and which are descriptive paragraphs. And we also can use the practice such as match item, etc. For example, we can compare two types of food in terms of how it is made, its history, and its price. From there, the differences and similarities between the two will emerge. This is an example of comparison between two paragraphs where one is descriptive paragraphs and the other is compare and contrast paragraph. Paragraph A is a descriptive paragraph because it describes how to live in Trenggalek city, while paragraph B is more about comparing and contrasting the city of Jakarta and Trenggalek. We can also practice comparing and contrasting material with match items. Here we can match social media with real life, buy a car with rent a car, and so on.
Hi, my name is Siti Nursolihah. Identifying comparison and contrast signals. In a comparison and contrast sentence, it always followed by a signals word. The signals word, such as for the comparison signals, they were like, both, also, similar to, similarity, in the same way, the same as well as, and etc. And then for the contrast signals, they were unlike, but, however, instead, differ, in contrasted to, rather than, otherwise, although, and etc. Then I took an example from the textbook that is, teaching methods are very similar at Oxford and Cambridge universities. As students attend lectures, classes, and laboratory works as appropriate for their course. Unlike at many other universities, students at Oxford and Cambridge also benefit from highly personalized teaching time with experts in their field. The only difference is in the name. Oxford refers to this session as tutorials, while Cambridge calls them supervisions. We can find the signals word from that example. The word similar shows that it was a comparison sentence. Then the word unlike shows it was a contrast sentence. Unlike is the signals word. Then the difference word. Difference is the signals word for the contrast sentence. So by understanding the signals word for the comparison and contrast, we can easily differentiate which is the comparison and which is the contrast.
I am Rida Rahmata Injia, and now I will explain to you about identifying comparison and contrast of part. In the comparison and contrast, we should break the question into simplified parts. For example, a question asks a student to compare the opinion of two critics on the use of metaphor in a poem. We only need to focus on the part of the text where the critics deal with the metaphor, and furthermore, we only need to focus on where the two opinions differ. On the other hand, if the question asks us to compare the view of the two critics, we should focus on the similarities and differences in the paragraph.
Hello, my name is Vanessa Diarnyanasari. I'm going to explain about identifying comparison and contrast of space. Advances in technology make it easier for us to develop a literacy skill. Learning to compare and contrast text can be found in various media. There are many texts on comparison and contrast that we will find either in print or online. Usually the text is presented in various ways such as diagram, charts, photo, and illustrations to make a view. This should not be ignored because it is an intrinsic part of how text can operate.
Hello everyone, I am Risnastia Yudayana. I would like to explain about identifying comparison and contrast of sequence. There are three sequences of comparisons and contrast. We can start reading the text and note the similarities and difference in the term of content. We can start the process by highlighting or underlining the appropriate information in the text, and you can then record this information in the form of notes or bullet point. That is our presentation for group. Thanks for the attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.